Hey everyone, welcome to the channel where we talk all things health and wellness. Today, we're diving into a topic that's literally in everyone's pantry: processed foods. We're about to find out why that innocent-looking box of cereal might be doing more harm than good. So, if you've ever wondered, is this stuff actually bad for me? You're in the right place. So, what exactly are processed foods? Well, if it comes in a box, bag, or can and has a shelf life longer than your last relationship, chances are it's processed. But not all processing is evil. There's minimal processing, like washing your veggies or freezing your peas. And then there's highly processed, where you get all the fun stuff: added sugars, salts, fats, and let's not forget the chemicals you need a PhD to pronounce. Think of it like this. Minimal processing is like getting a haircut. You're just trimming off the excess. But highly processed? That's like slapping on a wig, a full face of makeup, and calling it natural. Spoiler alert, it's not. Let's talk about what's actually in these foods. First up, sugar. And not the good kind that comes from an apple. I'm talking about the added sugars. It's sneaky, and it's everywhere. That innocent-looking cereal? It's more like a dessert disguised as breakfast. High sugar intake leads to weight gain, insulin resistance, and, if you're lucky, a free membership to the Type 2 Diabetes Club. Trust me, you don't want to join. Over the past few decades, our sugar consumption from processed foods has skyrocketed. In fact, the average person now consumes over 150 pounds of sugar per year. This is a huge jump from just 50 years ago. And what's the result? A dramatic increase in type 2 diabetes. Back in the 1980s, about 5.5 million Americans were diagnosed with diabetes. Today, that number has ballooned to over 34 million. If that's not a wake-up call, I don't know what is. And then there's sodium. A little salt here and there is fine, but when your soup has more sodium than the ocean, it's a problem. High sodium levels contribute to hypertension, fancy talk for high blood pressure, which in turn increases your risk of heart disease. Historically, humans consumed about 500 milligrams of sodium per day, just what they needed to survive. Today, the average person consumes more than 3,400 milligrams daily. That's nearly 7 times more than our ancestors. And what's the result? A sharp rise in hypertension cases. In the 1950s, only 10% of adults had high blood pressure. Fast forward to today, and that number has skyrocketed to nearly 45%. It's like we're seasoning our way to an early grave. And let's not forget about fats. But here's the deal. Not all fats are created equal. The healthy fats in avocados and nuts? They're your friends. The trans fats in your favorite fast food? Not so much. These fats are a one-way ticket to bad cholesterol and heart disease. So, let's keep the unhealthy fats at arm's length, shall we? Okay, so you might be thinking, I'm young, I'm healthy, I can eat what I want. But here's the truth. A diet high in processed foods isn't doing you any favors, now or in the long run. Let's break it down. First up, obesity. In recent decades, obesity rates have soared, and this rise is strongly associated with an increased risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. To give you an idea, back in the 1970s, about 15% of Americans were obese. Today, that number has more than doubled to 42%. And it's not just about the number on the scale. Processed foods are calorie-dense but nutrient-poor, leading to weight gain, heart disease, and even cancer. Ever notice how a diet full of processed foods leaves you feeling sluggish? That's because these foods mess with your mental clarity and energy levels. They can even contribute to mental health issues like depression and anxiety. So, if you're feeling blah, it might be time to rethink what you're eating. Let's talk cravings. Ever wonder why you can't stop at just one chip or one cookie? That's by design, my friend. Processed foods are engineered to keep you coming back for more. They hit all the right notes in your brain: sugar, fat, salt, triggering a dopamine release that makes you feel so good until you crash. And then you need another hit. It's like a bad relationship. You know it's no good, but you just can't quit. Studies show that these foods can be as addictive as drugs. Yep, you heard that right. It's not just in your head, it's in your brain chemistry. So next time you're reaching for that second or third helping, remember, it's not just about willpower. These foods are designed to hook you. Now, let's get real for a second. It's not just our bodies that pay the price. Our planet takes a hit too. Processed foods often come wrapped in plastic, packaged in boxes, and shipped from halfway across the world. That's a lot of resources, water, energy, raw materials, going into something that's, well, not even that good for us. Add to that the packaging waste, and we're talking mountains of trash. And let's not forget about the farming practices that make those cheap ingredients possible, things like deforestation and monoculture farming. So every time you buy that heavily processed snack, you're contributing to a much bigger problem. Let's talk dollars and cents. Ever notice how the cheaper options at the grocery store are often the most processed? It's no coincidence. Processed foods are often more accessible, especially in lower income areas, also known as food deserts. And let's be real, when you're on a tight budget, a dollar bag of chips is a lot more tempting than a $3 bag of apples. But it's not just about cost. It's also about how these foods are marketed. Fast food chains and processed food companies spend billions to make sure you crave what they're selling, especially targeting kids and teens. So, the next time you see a flashy ad, remember, it's designed to make you choose convenience over health. All right, enough of the doom and gloom. Let's talk about the bright side. Cutting down on processed foods can be a game changer. First off, weight management. When you eat whole, nutrient-dense foods, you're naturally more satisfied, which means less overeating and more energy. And let's not forget about your brain. A cleaner diet equals better mental clarity, improved mood, and more focus. It's like switching from dial-up to high-speed internet. Everything just works better. Plus, your gut will thank you. More fiber from whole foods means better digestion, fewer stomach issues, and a happier you. And in the long run, you're looking at a lower risk of chronic diseases and a longer, healthier life. Who doesn't want that? So, how do you make the switch? Start small. Replace one processed item with a whole food each week. It could be as simple as swapping out your sugary cereal for oats or choosing a piece of fruit over a packaged snack. Next, get smart about shopping. Stick to the perimeter of the grocery store. That's where the fresh stuff is. And when you do buy something packaged, read the labels. If the ingredient list looks like a science experiment, maybe skip it. Finally, try cooking more at home. I know, who has the time? But trust me, it doesn't have to be complicated. Start with simple recipes, and before you know it, you'll be whipping up meals that are not only healthier but taste way better than anything that. Did you enjoy the video? If so, subscribing to our channel would be a great way to support us in continuing to produce similar content. See you in the next video.